Guys, my name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille Show on a gorgeous and glorious Tuesday afternoon in downtown Charlottesville. A lot to cover on today's program. I'm going to show you documentation from 20 years ago, 2004. A Charlottesville election task force was created. And this election task force was assembled to highlight some issues that existed 20 years ago in our fine and fair city. For example, some of the perceived problems directly pulled from the documentation that we'll put on screen. A, the city government is not responsive to the needs of citizens. B, all of the city councilors come from one part of the city. C, city government does a poor job communicating with citizens. D, civic participation and voter turnout is declining. E, Democrats have the upper hand. F, there is a lack of socioeconomic diversity among council members. G, there is an imbalance of power between city council and the city's administration. We're going to show the documentation and we're going to ask you this question. Do these problems currently exist today? Has anything improved? Has anything changed? The Charlottesville Election Task Force of 2004 suggested a strong mayor, an elected mayor, among a number of other changes. On today's Fine and Fair Talk Show, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk Glenn Youngkin approving cocktails to go. Cocktails to go. You would think an overwhelming support by restaurants local, eateries local, but not so fast, my friends, and we will explain why. Also on the program, we will cover the breaking news that we covered yesterday with violence at Albemarle High School. 2 teachers injured, 1 sucker punched, 1 slapped in the face this past Friday at the largest high school in Central Virginia. The police were called. The teachers are angry, and next steps are being formulated. We'll talk what's next, including what the school board has to do, what Dr. Matthew Haas has to do, and what the Albemarle County Education Association should do on today's Fine and Fair Talk Show. And we'll highlight notable businesses for sale in the Charlottesville area. Doma Korean Kitchen is on the market, and it's a very good value. We'll explain why, and we'll tell you some of the other ones and their asking prices. On the Tuesday edition, it's Tuesday, March 26th, in downtown Charlottesville. This show airs in the shadows of Thomas Jefferson's University, less than 2 miles from the John Paul Jones Arena, less than 2 miles from Scott Stadium and the Rotunda, 50 yards from the Charlottesville Police Department. Chief Kachis, Judah, as we weaved you in on 2-shot, paid us a visit last week. It was nice to see the George Clooney of policing, a man that we have tremendous respect for, come say hello to us in the studio here at I Love CVille. We're working on an interview with Chief Kachis, potentially Tuesday, here in studio, the police chief, to talk about a number of aspects that the Charlottesville Police Department is doing very well. We'll keep you posted on Chief Kachis and whether that interview is lined up for Tuesday. The conversations and phone calls are going back and forth. My friend, you want to start with some prayers for those in Baltimore?
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible what happened. I don't know all the details, but it seems like it was just an accident. And I mean, this is not just going to affect the people who are on the bridge and their families. I mean, this is, I believe the bridge falling down is going to affect shipping. Obviously, it's going to affect travel in and out of Baltimore. And I just my prayers are going out to the people who were on the bridge and the rescue teams who are trying to help them, as well as the people who are on the ship.
Well said, Judah Wickower. The show today presented by Charlottesville Business Brokers. Find them online at charlottesvillebusinessbrokers.com. If you need help buying or selling a business in the Charlottesville, Albemarle, or Central Virginia area, Charlottesville Business Brokers, your choice to make that transaction a viable reality, charlottesvillebusinessbrokers.com. The lead of the program, the email received from the distinguished, from the renowned, the well-known, the well-read, the well-researched, Heather Lamont Walker sends me a fantastic email yesterday. That is the lead of today's show. Heather, if you're watching the program, I want to thank you. Heather, if you're watching the program, I very much look forward to your social media content. You often get me thinking. I find the content provocative, thought-provoking, forward-thinking, and a refreshing voice in this homogenous and one-sided political ideology universe that we call Charlottesville. She says, Jerry, the discussion from yesterday was perfect timing to discuss a directly elected mayor in a mixed ward and at-large system on the heels of this property tax hike. She says, Jerry, I would imagine a strong mayor would advise the city staff to budget what they need, not what they want, in appreciation for inflation pain and the recent appraisal increases. She says, Jerry, I also imagine council members from south of the railroad tracks would vote against the tax increases. Then she includes two attachments, Heather Walker does, from the Charlottesville Election Task Force that was assembled in 2004. This task force was put together 20 years ago to look at concerning issues in the Charlottesville, Virginia area. Judah, if we could put document number 1 on screen. This is a 20-year-old document. I would like to put the matrix on screen if you could.
All right, you're going to have to give me a second.
You got to adjust the rotation?
Yeah.
Let me know when that's on screen. The task force essentially had this challenge before itself. These were the perceived problems in 2004, 20 years ago, in the city. Problem number 1, the city government was not responsive to the needs of citizens. Problem number 2, all the city councilors came from one part of the city. Problem number 3, the city government did a poor job communicating with citizens. Problem number 4, civic participation and voter turnout was declining. The matrix is on screen.
Yeah. Possible solutions, that's what you're talking about.
Possible solutions, that's the matrix. Yes, sir. Democrats have the upper hand, another problem. A lack of socioeconomic diversity among council members, another problem. And the final challenge, there is an imbalance of power between city council and the city administration. This is a 20-year-old document. Read the document, check the matrix, keep it on screen. You may need to blow up your screen to read this. Has anything changed? Or can you make the legitimate argument that some of these concerns have worsened or gained more momentum? For example, councilors coming from one part of the city. I still see that issue. In fact, Heather says in her email, 60% live in Burnley Moran, currently, councilors, and 20% in Greenbrier and Venable. Where's the economic diversity for council as highlighted on yesterday's program? A poor job of communicating with citizens. We just talked yesterday about tax relief. We talked about it last week. Mm-hmm. We have a tax relief program in an escalating cost of living environment, in particular tied to home ownership, that is very poorly advertised and marketed. This falls under that category. Democrats having the upper hand. When's the last Republican to be elected to council? Judah Wickhauer.
Oh, man.
Who was it? How about that question?
It was radio personality. Oh, come on. Shoot. I know the name. Rob Schilling.
Rob Schilling. Rob Schilling. The last Republican to sit on council, Rob Schilling. Since Rob Schilling, how many independents have been elected to council?
I don't believe any have been.
Nikiah Walker.
Oh, that's true. Nikiah Walker. I'm sorry.
Nikiah Walker ran as an independent.
Yeah.
Bellamy Brown tried to run as an independent.
Yeah.
Was not successful, Mr. Brown. Nikiah Walker was.
I think we know that neither of them was actually an independent, though.
Why do you say that?
I mean, you can run as anything. I think Nikiah Walker was clearly Democratic leaning.
Activist, progressive. I wouldn't necessarily say Democratic. In fact, you could make a legitimate argument she didn't get along with the shot callers and the rainmakers and the kingmakers in the Democratic Party. Bellamy Brown, you have a genuine argument as he ran for delegate a couple of years later as a D. So I'll give you that one. Nikiah Walker, I won't give you that one. I'll say she marched to the beat of her own drum.
That's fair.
In this Charlottesville election task force, can you put document number 2 on screen? Titled, Take Me to Your Leader. These are 20-year-old documents. Take Me to Your Leader from the 2004 Charlottesville Election Task Force. The proposal, hold an at-large election for mayor. The mayor would have a 4-year term, but her or his official responsibilities would remain the same as in the current system. Sitting members of city council would also be able to run for mayor. Basically a strong mayor system. That document on screen. Give us the thumbs up. Thank you very much. John Blair, welcome to the program. Local newspaper, welcome to the program. Local TV station, welcome to the program. Local radio station, welcome to the program. We'll have some news for you, TV, radio, and print on Albemarle High School and the violence from Friday. News that we covered and broke yesterday at 12:30 that then hit the TV stations for the 11 o'clock news. Strong mayor is something we see in Richmond with Mayor Stoney. The cons of the strong mayor. You want to read those on screen?
The cons you want me to read?
You can go on a 2-shot and rattle off the cons if you'd like. I'll read the pros, and then we'll pick it apart like Thanksgiving turkey. I like the dark meat.
I've started to like the dark meat more as I grow older.
My least favorite of the meats, the turkey. Despise the turkey.
What do you... Oh, you don't like... You're saying...
Despise the turkey. My least favorite of all the meats. So many better meats out there. I love the Italian meats. Love the Italian meats. You give me some prosciutto, forget about it. You give me a T-bone, forget about it. You give me some locally grass-fed ground beef, forget about it. Give me some ham biscuits, Kites Country Ham, forget about it. Turkey? The cons, my friend.
Critics of a directly elected mayor have been known to argue longer and repeated terms for mayor might lead to cronyism and stagnation. The presence of the position of elected mayor might attract career politicians who might put their own interests ahead of the interests of the city.
Definitely.
Fellow city council members may have personal knowledge of the qualities of prospective candidates for mayor, allowing them to make a decision based on the qualifications rather than political skill of the candidates. A directly elected mayor may have more conflicts and disputes with city council than an appointed mayor, which could lead to gridlock. And in the current political climate, it is likely that only Democrats would be competitive candidates for mayor.
The pros. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
And then hold that thought, because you're about to make some Albert Einstein, Aristotle-esque commentary there.
Aristotelian.
Oh, shoot, duh. I got the goosebumps on that one. The pros. Directly electing the mayor mirrors election systems used in a majority of cities around the country with council manager systems of government. Pro number 2, giving the mayor a 4-year term allows for stability of leadership and a pursuit of vision. Service as mayor for more than 2 years could lead to more efficient government. That's institutional memory. Pro number 3, a directly elected mayor could have more of a mandate to lead and pursue a vision. Pro number 4, a directly elected mayor could be held accountable by the citizens of Charlottesville rather than by city council, and thus may be more responsive to the needs and priorities of citizens. Pro number 5, an elected mayor would not be given the post as a courtesy for past service, as may be the case with the mayor chosen by council. Pro number 6, direct election of the mayor might attract career politicians to the post, which may bring greater experience in public service and policymaking to the position than an appointed mayor. And the final pro, directly electing the mayor may increase voter turnout. Absolutely would increase voter turnout. Your turn to shine. What was that thought you wanted to hold?
I mean, it was just a commentary on the final con, which is it's hardly surprising that in the current political climate, it is likely that only Democrats would be competitive candidates for mayor. I mean, that's just CVille for you. I don't know that that's particularly a con of electing a mayor. It's just a con of CVille.
That was less
Aristotelian than you thought it would be. I never said it was going to be.
That was less philosopher and more Peter Pan over there. Still, I give you some props regardless. John Blair, I'll get to your comments in a matter of moments. These documents, 20 years old, from an election task force that if it was reassembled today would say, good Lord, everything we suggested, all the solutions we had to combat the issues or the perceived problems of 2004 still remain present today, and they did not weave in any of our suggestions.
Copy, paste, job done.
Right. Why do you think, let's unpack it, why do you think the Charlottesville Election Task Force of 2004 was ignored by government and nothing has changed? I got this answer. I can't wait to hear what you got to say on this one, J-Dubs. Judah Wittgauer, jack of all trades. Sidekick Bubini.
I mean, if I had to guess, I would say, why would they want to? Once they make it in there, one of the points talked about being given a post as mayor as a courtesy for past service. Maybe that's something that's attractive to council members. I honestly don't know, but where is the political will to make a change like this?
How about this? Why make the political change when you risk losing the political power?
Yeah.
Why would those in political power choose to? Brian Haluska walking by again. I see Haluska at studio time every day.
Every day.
Do you think this is part of his challenge each day to walk by the studio during the show and gets the mention on the I Love CVille program?
Maybe.
He was a talented sports writer at the Daily Progress at one time. Why give up the power? If you're in power, why give up the power? And for these changes to be put in play, it would take current power to potentially divest itself of the power it has.
I mean, I could see a mayor in our current system at the end of his tenure pushing something like this through, and then taking his 2 years of visibility as the mayor to then
springboard, platform
into the 4-year mayorship.
Trampoline into the 4-year permanent position.
Yeah, not permanent, but
who's the most electable potential mayor in the city of Charlottesville resident right now?
Wow.
Anyone who lives in the city of Charlottesville, the most electable mayor, who is it?
That's a tough one.
Come on. What do you think it is? There's no wrong answer here. The most electable person, if it was a 4-year term, most electable person that lives in the city of Charlottesville.
Wow. That's
Viewers and listeners, your thoughts. John Blair, I'll get to your comment. I'm very curious of your opinion on this, John Blair. Vanessa Parkhill, very curious of your opinion on here. Anyone who lives in the city of Charlottesville, gotta live in the city of Charlottesville, most electable taxpayer and citizen in the city of Charlottesville for mayor right now.
I don't know who lives in the city. You know who
There's no wrong answer.
You know who I would
well,
pick?
actually, there are wrong answers if they don't live in the city of Charlottesville or they're convicted felons.
That's true.
Who would you say?
You need to give me a minute or two.
No. Say it. Spit it out. It's the sake of a talk show. Keep it going.
I'm trying to remember the name.
I'll help you come up with the name. Give me some context clues.
Restaurateur.
Restaurateur?
That we're very familiar with.
Annie McClure?
There.
See, I speak
Yeah.
Judah. I speak Judah. He's a city of Charlottesville resident. I won't say where.
I would.
Yeah, I know he lives in the city of Charlottesville. I do know where, but I won't say where.
He's clearly a savvy businessman.
Yes, he is, Annie McClure.
And an entrepreneur who clearly loves the city. I mean, he's taken over and opened several of his own restaurants and done it all here in the quaint little city of Charlottesville. I could see him putting on an extremely well received run for mayor.
I don't want to speak for Annie McClure, and I don't want to shatter your commentary or dash your dreams. But Annie McClure would never run for mayor for Charlottesville
Oh,
City.
yeah. I'm sure
Would never do it. Would never do it.
No, I believe it.
I think he would be a fantastic electable mayor. I think he'd make a fantastic mayor. But the owner of Citizen Burger Bar, the guy who previously owned the Biltmore, just recently sold the Biltmore on Elliewood Avenue, now going to be called Ellie's Country Club. Why you would change the brand and the equity behind the brand of the Biltmore and rebrand it to something altogether is beside me and makes no business sense. Yes, I said that. Alumni are going to return to Charlottesville for alumni weekend, for basketball and football games, for sporting events, to reminisce, to wax nostalgic. They'll head to Elliewood and they'll wonder what happened to the Biltmore, and they won't have the same magnetization or allure to Ellie's Country Club as they would have the Biltmore. But hey, everyone's entitled to make their own decision. He sold the Biltmore to his general manager, and props for that deal. I would say the most electable person right now who's a resident in the city of Charlottesville that could run for mayor and probably win is Chief Mike Kochis.
It's a good one.
Chief Mike Kochis. Someone prove me wrong, who is somebody that Jim Ryan's not going to run for mayor. It would contradict and conflict with president of UVA. He couldn't do it.
It would also be a massive step down.
I'm also very curious if where President Ryan lives on Cars Hill, is that Albemarle County? Does President Ryan, I don't have the answer to this. Much of the University of Virginia is in Albemarle County, even though it seems to be in city limits. Is Jim Ryan currently living at Cars Hill? Is that considered Albemarle County? Any viewer and listener have that answer? Put it to the feed. I'll relay it live on air. Make a convincing argument, and we'll send you some free stickers, and we'll forever ring your name loudly and truly in the hallowed hallways of the I Love CVille Hall of Fame if you give me someone that's more electable for mayor right now than Chief Mike Kochis. Anyone. Dave Matthews don't live in the city of Charlottesville. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson don't live in the city of Charlottesville. Ralph Sampson don't live in the city of Charlottesville. Anyone. Seriously. John Blair doesn't live in the city of Charlottesville. Lives in Albemarle County. John Blair could be a guy who doesn't live in the city of Charlottesville. I'd vote for John Blair. Who is more electable?
Yeah.
And if you're the election task force of 2004 and you were frozen in time a la Demolition Man and Sylvester Stallone. Demolition Man, Wesley Snipes, and Sylvester Stallone. Their naked bodies put on ice. Jettisoned 2 decades into the future. Who was on the 2004 Charlottesville election task force? Do we want to see them naked and frozen in time and then defrosted and de-iced in 2024? Charlottesville election task force. Who was on that election task force in 2004, Judah? I might have to ask the distinguished Heather Lamont Walker for for the participation on that task force. They would say, Judah, I looked, you can't find it on Google.
You sure?
Yeah. They would say, why have we done nothing to change the issues? One party controls the city. The representation in the city does not reflective of all socioeconomic statuses.
Yeah.
They would say, communication is still a problem. We can point to tax relief.
You sure you can't find it?
You can find it?
I think I maybe did.
The 2004 Charlottesville Election Task Force?
The front page says, Report of the Charlottesville Elections Study Task Force, December 2004.
Oh, who are the members?
Signed and endorsed by...
Can I slide over to your two-shot? I know John Foltz. I bought commercial real estate. Heather Wook? Okay, Judah. God, can I give you a flying chest bump? Oh, flying chest bump, Judah Wickhauer. Who is on the 2004 Charlottesville Election Task Force? Gosh, I'm so happy you found this list. Would we put the 2004 Charlottesville Election Task Force on ice, a la Demolition Man, Sylvester Stallone, and Wesley Snipes, and defrost them in 2024? They would say, egats. Nothing has changed. Who's on that task force? What was on your mind right there? You were about to say something funny.
No, it was just a comment about Taco Bell.
A comment on Taco Bell?
I seem to remember that. That's one of the only things I remember from the movie. That and clamshells.
That was less Chris Rock and more...
I wasn't trying for anything in
Chris
particular.
Seaman.
Okay.
That was a little shade thrown to Allison Spillman's campaign manager, who was not her campaign manager.
Yeah.
Who was on that task force?
Signed and endorsed by Sean O'Brien, chairman, Leroy Hamlet, Sue Lewis, John Foltz.
John Foltz. I bought commercial real estate from John Foltz. UVA professor.
David, is it Repass? Repass? I don't know.
David.
Cindy Stratton, Tom Van Dever, Heather Walker.
Heather Lamont Walker sent us that email 20 years later. No wonder she had those documents.
Yeah. And Karen Waters.
That's a very impressive task force.
Mm-hmm.
Conservatives on that task force. Centrist on that task force. Center of the aisle thinkers on that task force. John Foltz has run for a number of positions locally. John, spell his last name for me.
PFAL.
TZ.
Yeah.
He's run for computer science UVA professor, an independent candidate for city treasurer in 2013. And according to CVillepedia, served on the 2004 Charlottesville Election Study Task Force. In fact, CVillepedia has an entry for the Charlottesville Election Study Task Force. This task force was appointed by council in 2004, 2005, and 2006 with the intent to review the structure of Charlottesville's local government and to suggest possible reforms to address public concerns about citizens feeling unrepresented by the current system. What has changed in 20 years? Seriously, put the Matrix back on screen. Read the perceived problems from the Matrix, and then we'll get to the viewer and listener commentary. And it's plentiful. Judah, the perceived problems from the Matrix, my friend, can you put it on screen? Can you read them for the viewers and listeners, your fans from across the Commonwealth?
Hold on, I gotta find it on this document because
Vanessa Parkhill
the one
says...
you sent me is upside down.
Heather sent it to me upside down. Vanessa Parkhill says Carrs Hill and President Jim Ryan is Albemarle County. Albemarle County. He could not run for City of Charlottesville mayor. Find me someone. Olivia Branch says Eugene Williams. Eugene Williams, but she says, besides Chief Conscious, that's a tough one. Tom Stargell says, Kenny Leatherwood. He now lives in the city of Charlottesville. Former principal of Charlottesville High School, interim principal, current Charlottesville High School. Kenny Leatherwood is a damn good one. Judah, the perceived problems. I dropped the ball. Of the Charlottesville Election Task Force.
Perceived problems. City government is not responsive to the needs of citizens. Perceived problems. All of the city councilors come from one part of the city. Actually, you know what? I'm going to blow this up on the screen so it's just the graph. Just a second.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
Oh, crap.
Would you like me to read the perceived problems?
No, I got it. Here we go. I made them a little bigger. Perceived problems. City government does a poor job communicating with citizens. Problem. Civic participation and voter turnout is declining.
It's declining even more. It's declined even more in the last 20 years. It's in the pits.
Mm-hmm. Problem. Democrats have the upper hand. I don't think
more so than ever.
I don't think the Democrats would agree that that's a
more
problem.
so than ever.
Problem. There is a lack of socioeconomic diversity among council members.
We were just talking about that. Mm-hmm. We got a lawyer. We got a middle upper management at UVA. We got a high-level official at Albemarle County. We got someone who slings and shells $300,000 one-day weddings. We also have Michael Payne. No shade on Michael Payne. Anything else?
Lastly, there is an imbalance of power between city council and the city's administration.
Comments. I got to go to JB, then we'll go to Deep Throat, then we'll go to Vanessa Parkhill. Comments coming in fast and furious. God, I love you guys so much. You make the program better. John Blair has this comment. I will mention this live on air. I'm responding to him. Now I'm going to read it. Jerry, it's important to note that on the November ballot, all candidates for city council do not have an R or D by their names. Parties may nominate candidates for the general elections and local races, but state law prohibits the identification of local office candidates by party on the November general election ballots pursuant to Virginia Code Section 24.4-613. God, I love John. They can run as Republican or Democrat and be nominated by the parties, but the ballot you and I see in the booth in November will not identify city council candidates by party. That's a strong comment. What determines councilors? He says, does Ralph Sampson live in Charlottesville? He does not live in the city, I've been told. And he says he would be a shoo-in, a sports legend and a restaurateur. I've been told he does not live in the city. If Ralph ran against Chief Conscious, Ralph would beat Chief Conscious. Right now, I would say the favorite to win mayor in Charlottesville, city resident, taxpayer, Chief Conscious, hard-pressed to find somebody else. Eugene Williams, Kenny Leatherwood, other suggestions by Tommy Stargell. Tommy Stargell is part of the family. We got to get Tom Stargell's photo on screen. We got to get John Blair's photo on screen. You can find the ranking at ilovecville.com/viewer rankings. ilovecville.com/viewer rankings. Tommy Starge is 51 in the family. Look at that. Very handsome photo of you, Tom Stargell. Are you sure you got the right Tom Stargell there, Judah?
That was
the Golden Apple Award winner? Yes, you do. Tom, I love that profile picture with that vest and the hat. You're looking quite outdoorsy, the Golden Apple Award winner. John Blair's photo on screen, number 2 in the family. Get his pick up, please. We're going fast tempo today, aren't we, J-Dubs? This is normally when you go today. Olivia Branch watching the program. Olivia's a very key member of the family. Always well-dressed, always sharply dressed, always beautiful. 13 of the family, OB. Queen of Keswick, her photo on screen. Number 1 in the family, Deep Throat, watching the program. I had somebody come up to me, I won't say who, Deep Throat, but come up to me at our stomping grounds and say, I think I know who Deep Throat is, and they were able to decipher potentially your identity through your comments on the talk show. It was incredible. Wow. He says this, one interesting difference between making a change to election structure back in 2004 and now is that in 2013, the Supreme Court in Shelby County v. Holder, scraped Voting Rights Act Section 5 pre-clearance requirement. This applied to the entire Commonwealth and its political subdivisions. Any change in 2004 would have required CVille to seek pre-clearance from the DOJ or a federal court. Now Charlottesville is freer to make changes, though obviously ex-post citizens could challenge any change. He also says, I think people would happily elect David Toscano if he would serve. David Toscano, friend of the talk show. Put it on a studio camera. Studio camera. Studio camera. Are you talking? You giving the play-by-play?
Jerry is, hold on, I'll move the camera so they can actually see you.
We gotta get Chief Conscious up here. Who are the other ones we gotta get on screen?
Oh, let's see, we got
Chief Conscious, who else?
Jim Hingley.
Ralph Sampson? Jim Hingley?
Ralph Sampson.
Two shot us.
Juan Diego Wade.
This man.
Pinkston and Pruitt.
Is this on screen?
Just a second. That's better.
That man would win mayor if he wanted to.
No doubt.
David Toscano was mayor of Charlottesville. That man would win mayor if he wanted to. This man very well could win mayor if he wanted to run. Dave Norris, he on screen?
Mm-hmm.
Dave Norris could win mayor if he wanted to. Studio camera. Move the camera. Two shot. Lisa Green is a city resident, I believe. Lisa Green would have a very good shot. Planning commissioner of winning mayor if she wanted to. Lisa Green. Heather says this, have you noticed that there's 0 counselors that live in the Jackson, Via, and Johnson school districts?
Mm-hmm.
We highlighted yesterday similar concerns. Where's the Fifeville, 10th and Page, and Prospect representation? The Star Hill representation?
Yeah.
Where is it?
I mean, you can't force people to run.
Why don't they vote?
What's that?
Why don't they vote? Why doesn't 10th and Page, Fifeville, Star Hill, Cherry Avenue, and Prospect form a coalition? And coalition, what's the verb of coalition?
The verb collate?
Collate, not constipate. Collate around one candidate and push that candidate forward. Why doesn't that happen? Why don't they collate, not constipate, but collate with a coalition or around one candidate and push that candidate forward? Explain that to me. Then they'd have advocacy and representation. Derek Bond all the time on the talk show. Why are there not conservative candidates in the community? Explain this to me. Ready for this?
No, we can.
No. It only takes 5, 6. Let's look at the last election results. Charlottesville election results. Was it 23? Was 2023 the last one? We're talking 5,000 or 6,000 votes. Give me the election results. Let's say, who was the Brian Pink? No, who was the one? You had Payne Snook, Lloyd Snook. Lloyd Snook election results. Let's see how many votes he got. 2023, I was right. 8,548 votes in the at-large election. 8,548. In the primary, 4,378 for Snook. 8,548 in the general. This is November of 2023. You're telling me in a town of 45, 46, 47,000 people, there's not 8,548 centrists? You're telling me there's not 20% in the city of Charlottesville that identify either as centrists or right of the aisle? Is that what you're telling me?
There may be.
Then why don't they collate, not constipate, around one candidate and springboard platform, trampoline that candidate into office? Talk to me, Judah. Talk to me. Should I say Papa Bear? You don't like the Papa Bear. Explain that to me. No wards, no districts. Anyone who runs can win. Why don't they collate around one?
You're saying there aren't enough regular voters to beat a coalition like that?
Yeah. You're telling me there's not 8,500 centrists or slightly right of the aisle individuals that are seeking change that they can't get one into office?
I mean, I kind of feel like if there were,
come on.
Then
what? It would have already happened?
Then Bellamy Brown would have had a much better turnout.
BB made a mistake. You know what BB's mistake in the 2019 election was?
Go ahead.
You know what it was?
Go ahead.
Getting into the crossfire of Nikiah Walker. Nikiah Walker, he got into that scope, into the lens of Nikiah, and she straight up in social media challenged his blackness. Her words, not mine.
But
low blow by Nikiah Walker, but that's what she did. She later apologized about that.
But if there was this mass, this not necessarily coalition yet, but enough people to form one, I don't feel like they would be the type of people to care what Nikiah Walker had to say about Bellamy Brown.
Or was the climate different? Because we were very close to August 12, 2017. This was 2019 when he ran.
What does that have to do with Bellamy Brown?
It was 2 years removed from one of the worst days in the history of Charlottesville, where the community was feeling very vulnerable and somewhat guilty. Carly Wagner says Kochis is 10th in page, right? Yes, Carly Wagner, her photo on screen. Yes, ma'am, he is. Carly Wagner. Number 3 in the family. We've had 1, 2, and 3 comments so far today. Vanessa Parkhill, number 6 of the family, her photo on screen. We've had 1, 2, 3, and 6 comment today. Albert Graves shared the show. He's 7. Carol Thorpe, her photo on screen. She's number 9 in the family. Get C. Thorpe on there.
You lost me. I'm back like 3 or 4.
I thought you said we weren't moving that fast. Carly Wagner, her photo on screen.
I've
number
got
3.
Her on. Who's the next one?
Vanessa Parkhill, VP, the Queen of Earlysville. Number 6 in the family. Get her photo on screen.
Okay, there we go.
Albert Graves, number 7 in the family. He retweeted the show. Get his photo on screen. Carol Thorpe, number 9 in the family. Her photo on screen. Carol Thorpe's got some good commentary here. Thorpe says the Queen of Jack Jewett, Democrats have held a 50-plus year stranglehold majority rule in the city council. She was the founding member of the Charlottesville Tea Party.
Mm-hmm.
She also says Charlottesville GOP cannot find candidates to run for city council anymore. It's a waste of time, effort, and money for potential candidates. Why bother? They're done before they begin.
That's what I was going to say.
She also says so many right-leaning city residents have made an exodus out of the city over the last 5 to 10 years. Carol Thorpe, we appreciate your comments. Vanessa Parkhill says, sadly, so many citizens are so frustrated with the current state of government at all levels, they choose not to engage in the process. It's frustrating. I hold public education partly responsible.
Yeah.
I'm afraid too many students graduate high school not realizing the power and responsibility that go along with voting. You want to respond to that? Derek Bond says, amen. Derek Bond's photo on screen. Key member of the family. Love Derek Bond. 30 in the family. His photo on screen. You want to respond to either of those comments?
I'd need to hear them again.
Ay, carajo, coño, chico.
Yeesh. There's in the task force document. There's an interesting breakdown in in who has been elected since 1970, obviously up until 2004. At that point, of the 43 councilors were elected between 1970 and 2004. Of the total, 21% were African American. That's 9 total. 26%, 11 total, were women. 14%, 6 total, were Republican. 86%, 37 were Democratic, and none were independents.
Nikiah Walker's an independent.
This is up until 2004. Republican representation since 1980 has declined to 10%, and since 1990, Republicans have held only 5% of the city council seats.
Deep Throat says, trust me, I and a few others tried to find competent centrists to run. Nobody would bite. The political culture, too toxic. It scares people away. And then if you win, you spend your night doing things like, to take a recent example, getting... What? Deep Throat's a smart guy. I'm going over to Judah the wordsmith for this one.
Getting mau-mau'd by bumpkin Hamasniks trying to get you to pass resolutions on Gaza.
That's from Deep Throat right there.
He's talking about the people that want peace with Hamas. I'm not sure what he means by mau-mau'd, but I like it.
And then he says, of course, many such people are unelectable because they are too wealthy, send their kids to private school, or belong to clubs or whatever. I think that's the first time is that the first time you've ever read the words mau-mau'd?
Mau-mau is to intimidate someone, such as an official, through hostile confrontation or threats, usually for social or political gain.
Is that the first time you've ever read that word?
It's probably not the first time I've ever read it, but it's the first time I've ever
it's the first time I ever used that in a sentence.
Consciously noticed it.
Just learned something from Deep Throat right there. Well done, Deep Throat. There you go. That's it in a nutshell. Derek Bond, you asked the question about why are there not more centrists running? The 2004 election task force asked that same question, and Deep Throat might have your answer in a nutshell.
Yeah.
You're getting mau-mau'd by bumpkin Hamasniks trying to get you to pass resolutions on Gaza. That led to the resignation of a planning commissioner in Charlottesville City. City Council's unwillingness to pass this resolution led to the resignation of a Charlottesville planning commissioner who resigned from the commission in protest to council not passing the resolution.
Well, I could say something, but I will.
You'll choose your words carefully.
Hold my tongue.
What would you choose? Would you basically say Charlottesville City Council choosing yes or choosing no to pass resolutions on wars in the East have nothing to do with said wars in the East?
No, I think lots of city councils do this type of thing, as whether you want to call it virtue signaling or feeling like they're leading the charge on some super important topic. I think.
Sounds like Judah's going to say it anyway here.
Yeah, I think it doesn't need to be said because what you said is what seems to me fairly obvious.
We're in freaking Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yeah. What do I'm not gonna say anything about anybody on current council, but pick a city council anywhere, and are these people
say what you mean over there, Judah.
What's the word I'm looking for? Are
going to have any impact whatsoever?
That wasn't what I was thinking. But are they qualified? Are they qualified to make resolutions like
You're
this?
telling me someone who slings $350,000 weddings is not qualified on geopolitical warfare and circumstances?
I did not say that.
Is that what you're saying? You want to dot the I's and cross the T's on this topic? Or should we go to the next one?
I love this. I would love to see a lot of the
2004 election task force on this talk show, 20 years later, to get their take on what's happening and what has not happened, and to gauge their demoralization or their confidence in the city.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
That would be great. And this is there's a lot more in this document. It's a good 25.
What else jumped out at you from the document? Man, you read it more than I. I'm glad you read it.
I mean, I haven't read it.
Well, what struck you?
I just here's a let's see.
I got a 245. I got a 215.
I mean, just reading the table of contents is evocative. Why are we doing this? Solutions. Things are working just fine. Something tells me that section is not actually about how things are working just fine. Take me to your leader. Mix it up. Help. We need help. Can you afford to serve? The U.S. wants you. Neighborhoods are where the action is. Who cares what party you're in? I need a sidewalk. And does your vote count? I bet you there is a gold mine in this document that we could work from for days.
Okay, then we'll bring it into the program tomorrow. The Charlottesville Election Task Force, we have the report they presented to council in our possession. Thank you, Heather Walker, for sending it to us.
Yeah.
Ginny Walker, who was on the Election Task Force. Ginny Who watching the program. Ginny Who, number 4 in the family, put her photo on screen. She says, Jerry and Judah, it's not just a problem in Charlottesville. The General Assembly just failed 15 homeschool bills, with Democrats tabling many of them and not even allowing discussion on the matter.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll get to a bill that was just approved by Youngkin, cocktails to go on the talk show.
There are also 70 that he vetoed. It's exactly what Ginny said. When you've got a Republican along with a Democratic,
a divided government.
Yeah,
and a divided government is a good government.
This is it's got its.
You have to have.
No, I get it, but when it's so divided that it's just
nothing gets done, maybe that's the best kind of government.
Sometimes I agree.
Stock market would certainly agree with that. Deep Throat says he gives credit to Snook, Pinks, and Wade for recognizing nobody elected us to speak on the behalf of Middle Eastern foreign policy.
No doubt.
It seems like common sense.
I would hope that there would be an outcry if something like that happened, because I would hope that there are enough people in this city that see the foolishness of an attempted peace.
We'll leave those apples alone. The next topic.
As we have for the last few weeks.
We have.
I
strategically.
Know. Every time I've brought it up.
All right. Do you want to? I don't want to go down that road.
I know.
Okay. Albemarle County School Board has a serious issue on their hands as we're putting lower thirds on screen, the first one and then the second one on the school board. We broke the news yesterday, last night on both TV stations at 11 o'clock. They reported a Cliff Notes version of what we talked about on the program at 12:30 on Monday. Multiple teachers reach out to us with documentation and with correspondence from the principal of Albemarle High School. They let us know one teacher was sucker punched, another slapped in the face this past Friday. The teacher that was sucker punched needed medical attention. The violence was so bad, the police was called, a report was filed, to be determined actions by the school system with these students. The teacher that was slapped in the face. Many of the teachers at Albemarle High School, the largest high school in Central Virginia, feel the principal is not connected with teacher concerns and utilized language to cover his behind and the school system's behind when talking about processes and protocols and how we're going to reset and refocus for the final 10, 11, 12 weeks of the year. Instead of using language like, I'm sorry, I empathize, I sympathize, I'm worried, this shouldn't happen, I have your back.
I too can't believe we don't have processes already in place for something like this.
Exactly. Instead, the language was word salad utilized for lawsuit protection purposes. The students, I've been told by parents, are being glorified on social media instead of vilified on social media. And the school board and Dr. Matthew Haas, the superintendent, have a problem on their hands of significant proportion. What will the school board and what will Dr. Haas do now? The school board should issue a statement. The school board should issue a statement in support of its teachers, in support of the teachers that were hurt. Superintendent should as well. A lawsuit, perhaps on the horizon. But if you don't have the back and support of rank and file, you have a potential Charlottesville High School scenario on your hands from this past Thanksgiving when they called in, air quotes, a sick day and had to close the school. Albemarle High School teachers, is it time for you to call your respective, air quotes, sick day to make a statement a la Charlottesville High School educators? Once the Charlottesville High School educators use their sick day in cahoots, guess what happened?
Action was taken.
Action was taken. I encourage Albemarle High School to consider the actions, the strategies, and the processes utilized by Charlottesville High School if you truly want to see tangible and palpable change. No parent wants to hear me say this, but it's the teachers who are on the front line that feel like they're not being heard.
Mm-hmm.
Next topic, Youngkin cocktails to go. Judah's topic and contribution to the headlines on the show. Judah B. Wickower, jack of all trades, jack of all wits, the wordsmith, sidekick Bubini, the show is yours.
I think this is great. It was already in place. He's basically just kept it going. It'll go indefinitely now. It was going to expire in July of this year. And I think that I can't imagine, as I said earlier, that a restaurant would have a problem with this if they don't want to sell. I mean,
here's the problem. One of the primary issues. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
If you want people to eat your food and not leave your restaurant, then don't sell food to go. It seems like a simple solution to
one of the concerns for cocktails to go.
Non-existent problem.
One of the concerns for cocktails to go is average ticket price drop, where one cocktail on site at a bar could lead to a second cocktail on site at a bar. But one cocktail to go won't transition to other cocktails, desserts, appetizers, etc. at location on site.
I suppose I could see that, though. It seems like not really much of a problem, considering you don't have to sell food to go, you don't have to sell cocktails to go.
That's a fair response.
What I see as a plus is for restaurants that get regular takeout customers. I'll often stop at someplace like say Guadalajara or
Guadalajara, Jefferson Park Avenue,
La Michoacana,
El Mariachi,
someplace on the way, someplace easy to hit on the way home, and I think it's great. When the last time I stopped at Guadalajara, I ordered a margarita to go.
Was it delicious?
Was pretty good.
Good.
And then I had tacos and a margarita when I got home. And the thing is, I wasn't going to sit at the restaurant. This was after work. I wanted to head home. I wanted to get something and take it home with me. The fact that they did sell margaritas to go means that they actually made more money in my case, because otherwise I would have just gotten the tacos.
Ooh, convincing argument right there. That was a good argument. That was legit. Seriously. You're saying it's adding to the average to-go ticket price as opposed to shrinking the average on-site ticket price.
Yeah.
Very good argument from Judah Wickhauer.
I understand the counterpoint. I understand that somebody knowing that they can get a cocktail to go might just order the food they were going to get along with a cocktail or two and just take them home. And you're right. Then you might lose extra sales. They might not. They're not going to obviously stick around and also order dessert afterwards. But for the people that were going to stop and pick something up and take it home anyways, anything more that you can add to that ticket, it's got to be a good thing.
Judah Wickhauer dropping diamonds today. One of your best shows. Sincerely mean that. Proud of today's show, Judah Wickhauer.
All right.
Thank you for that commentary. Carol Thorpe prefers the slow crawl of divided government. I said, amen, Sister Fran. She says, how does Michael Payne have any kind of resume to talk about Middle Eastern geopolitical warfare? I also agree with that. Same with the other counselors. I'm not singling out Michael Payne.
Right.
None of them do. And she said, where in the world is Matt Haas? Neil Williamson watching the program, liking the show. Can we get Neil Williamson's photo on screen? President of the Free Enterprise Forum. Support the Free Enterprise Forum. Number 19 in the family, Neil Williamson. Final topic on today's show. If you visit ilovecville.com, you will see notable businesses for sale. ilovecville.com, notable businesses for sale. This segment presented by Charlottesville Business Brokers. You can find them online, charlottesvillebusinessbrokers.com. Some of the notable businesses for sale as we speak. Doma Korean Kitchen with an asking price of $449,500. Gross revenues of $1,335,000. Cash flow of $200,000 a year. And a very realistic rent, $2,300 a month with the lease that expires on 2031. If you're interested in purchasing Doma Korean Kitchen, reach out to me and we can make some moves, get some more intel, and see if it's a right fit for you. There's also a photography franchise that's for sale, TSS Photography. Kuma Sushi Noodles and Bar on the UVA corner on Alleywood for sale. And a Snap Fitness franchise on the market. We are bringing a couple other businesses to market. Folks, those details on the I Love CVille show. If you'd like more information, charlottesvillebusinessbrokers.com or visit ilovecville.com. With the ilovecville.com, Judah, the content for the businesses that are for sale, let's make sure we archive them in the business section with a read more link. You archive them in the business section, but you did not add the read more link.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? To the jump page?
I'm not sure, but I'll check it out.
Thank you for archiving it there, though. I thought today's show was excellent. There are times where I leave some shows feeling demoralized and not atop of Carter's Mountain. Today's show, I feel confident and atop Carter's Mountain. I thought you were on point today.
Thank you.
Scuttlebutt on the street is the great Giardini, and sidekick Bubini might be in the house tomorrow.
All
and
right.
we are in the top of the 9th inning for setting up an interview with the George Clooney of Policing, Chief Kotchis. Came by the studio last week to say hi to Judah and I. Chief Kotchis potentially on the show on Tuesday. Brian Yeagle, let's get Brian Yeagle in the rankings. ilovecville.com/viewer rankings. B. Yaggs, BY needs to get in the rankings. He's going to come in at 52 in the polls, right behind the Golden Apple Award winner Tom Stargell, who said Principal Bonham's email was undoubtedly vetted by Dr. Haas. Brian Yeagle says, I love Brian Yeagle so much. Cocktails to go bring on a bigger need for a designated outdoor refreshment area designation. You know I love those Doras, Judah.
Oh, I do.
You know I love the Doras. Amen, BY. Amen, BY. Put him in the power polls. If he was here, I'd give him a flying chest bump, a fist bump, and drink a cold beer with him. Farm Bureau Insurance's finest, Brian Yeagle. Any closing thoughts? I got a 2:15. No closing thoughts? Job well done today, Judah Wickhauer. Sincerely mean that. For Judah Wickhauer, my name is Jerry Miller, and this is the I Love CVille Show, where we want you, the viewer and listener, to be the stars of the show. All Judah and I want to do is be the conductors of your commentary, the water cooler of conversation, the hub of locally sourced news. Check out ilovecville.com, and thanks to the Charlottesville Business Brokers for being the presenting partner of today's talk show. So long, everybody.